Good Friday morning, everyone. This is Charlie, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are having a great start to your weekend so far and continue to have a good Friday as we make our way through today. It is now 9:44 a.m., so I'm going to make probably two videos today to go over this morning's information and then probably one this evening to kind of go over any of the updated severe potential stuff that might happen. We'll see how it evolves throughout the day. But yeah, we're gonna get into the system we're about to see. It starts today, goes for pretty much just the weekend. Should be out of here by Monday or so. We're gonna look at that, and we're gonna look a little bit deeper into the future through the month of February, where I think, as you're seeing right on this animation right here, I think we'll have the potential to be very active in areas of the U.S. So we'll go over all of that in today's video. So like this video if you like it, subscribe if you've not done so already, and please leave a comment down below where you're watching from. It'd be greatly appreciated. So as usual, we kind of start this off here with some sort of satellite loop, and if I pause this on the latest frame here, yeah, I mean it's pretty quiet across a lot of areas. You can see a lot of cloud cover, kind of activity, if you will, going on down here. That is with the jet stream starting to intensify down here with the low pressure that will be associated with this severe weather potential. It looks like some fog down here along the Gulf coastline, and you can see all the snowpack up here in the northeast now that the clouds have kind of moved out the way. And now I can overlay the jet stream on here, and yeah, you can see it, how it starts to jet up like this across areas of the deep south as this low intensifies. So we'll have to watch that throughout the day. Yeah, we still have this ridge, pretty stubborn ridge hanging on in areas of the central U.S., bringing much warmer temperatures. And then we have this continued kind of northwest flow across the eastern U.S. So that is the latest with satellite for this morning. Again, we'll probably go over this later today as well. The radar looks like this. If it will actually stay on frame here, there we go. So we do have this activity rolling down through the southwest areas of the U.S. This will make its way east with time. We'll have to watch this for any kind of stronger storms as we get into New Mexico. I don't expect much though. Some rain up here in the far northwest areas of the U.S. and some snow rolling through Canada and the Great Lakes region right now. Other than that, pretty quiet. Maybe even some snow hitting the ground in Nebraska and northern Kansas. So that's interesting. I don't know if this would be hitting the ground or not. It might be a little bit dry, but hey, let me know what you're seeing if you live in that area. So we look at watches, warnings, and advisories right now. Do not need to animate this. We can see how there's not a whole lot going on. We do have some winter related stuff in this region in general, including this. This is freezing fog. I don't actually know what that means. I'm a huge weather nerd, and I've heard of that, but I don't know what that is. So let me know in the comments what that is. We do have dense fog advisories down here in the southern Louisiana, southern Texas here. And then we still have this, in this purple you can see in Georgia here, that is a special weather statement for increased fire danger because it's so dry and windy. Hopefully we can kind of beat down some of that dryness, some of this drought with this weekend storm. So with that, we're going to look into the severe threat with this just a little bit. I'm going to resize this so it's a bit bigger. This is today's outlook issued not long ago at all. And this is the risk area we have, a level 1 out of 5, a marginal risk equivalent here. We can look down here. It says it goes from marginal all the way to high. This is level 1 out of 5 in areas of Texas, Oklahoma, far southern Kansas, and even a little corner of New Mexico. So it appears we'll have some sort of boundary and storms can kind of fire on it and they will move up this way. So we have to watch them for any severe potential later. When we break this risk area down, tornadoes are not being called for, less than 2% chance. We have a 5% risk of winds exceeding 50 knots or greater, so about 60 miles an hour or thereabouts, within 25 miles of any given location, and hail is the full size here, as this will not be a super warm event, so it might be a little bit easier for hail to get going. We'll look here at tomorrow's. This is for Saturday. They've made this larger. They've even increased it back into some of these areas where today's outlook is. It goes all the way over to areas of Mississippi and along the Red River, points south. And I do think that we have the potential somewhere maybe in here to get a slight risk. That'd be a level 2 out of 5. And the reason I drew it in yellow is because that's what it is. So we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't do that. This is not looking anything crazy at all. They say in the discussion that uncertainty still remains with the convective evolution of this. So we have to watch it. And then we go into Sunday's outlook. We do have one, and we don't know about what it would be as of right now. Just 5% risk of severe weather within 25 miles of any given location. Just along the Gulf Coast states here, a good chunk of, at least half of Alabama. And you can see it cuts off sharply to the west with where the front is. So yeah, I think this is very good. I'm actually going to go back. We did not break down what this is. There is a 2% risk of a tornado within 25 miles of any given location for tomorrow. In this kind of green color you see, wind is a lot bigger, and the hail, you see how it starts kind of west and then drops off eastward. I think it's because we get a transition to a line, and linear storms have more trouble producing significant hail. So that would be why that is. And then yeah, this is Sundays. All we know about it is the percentage, which is 5%. So moving on from that, we're going to look at a few models here. I'm not going to show you global models for this. This starts today. So global models kind of go out the window at this point, and we look at short range. So we're starting all of this off at about 6 p.m. Central Time today, as a matter of, I mean, a little bit less than 12 hours from now. So yeah, we'll start this off, and you can see how there's not a whole lot going on, but you see these little cells down here, kind of along where that outlook was issued, that intensify a little bit. This is getting closer to midnight, and we have storms. None of this looks crazy, guys. None of it does. I think that some of these you might kind of wake up and you hear thunder, and you might hear some hail hitting your roof. It's not going to be big. You might hear the trees kind of blowing around outside, but I don't think that you would expect any damage from it necessarily. But you can kind of see how something seems to happen. I want you guys to also note that that outlook is issued from this morning to tomorrow morning, and then the next outlook picks up after it. So even if it's really, really late bloomer, kind of, we could have severe weather that kind of follows that corridor. This is getting into like 3 a.m. So 4, 5, 6, and then we start to intensify south of the Red River. This stuff up here in Oklahoma could be severe. I think it might be a little bit too cold for it though. Just more heavy rain. But you can see it kind of forms a line and it starts rolling along, kind of paralleling the Red River here and moving east. And then as we make our way into tomorrow afternoon, you can see that something seems to happen with a line. Some boundary seems to form, use a different color, where it kind of goes like this. So that is where the front is, and we get storms firing on. You can see in that red, that's where those storms are, and they start to intensify. So we move our way to about 7 p.m. Central Time um, on Saturday. So you can see this line of storms starting to roll into areas of Arkansas and pretty much all of Louisiana. I was going to say northern Louisiana, is really all of it. It makes its way through all of it. So it's very, very narrow line of storms, and that would tell me that it is struggling with overproducing outflow, pretty much meaning that it's kind of undercutting itself and keeping itself very narrow. But this could pack a punch. You live in areas of, say, like Alexandria, Louisiana, far northern areas, and you could, I mean, this is about 11 p.m. on Saturday. So, I mean, you kind of wake up and it's breezy outside, or there's some hail outside, but nothing crazy about it. We have a few more frames here. It starts to roll this way. And that's the last frame that we have. So I'm not going to show you the rest of it. I'm going to show you that tomorrow. But this is also the last frame. So let's move on. It's the NAM 3 kilometer, the high resolution version of the NAM. It starts off a little bit stronger here. We have a cluster of storms rolling through getting into the panhandle of Texas here. This is about 8, 9 p.m. tonight. So it's not far from now. And that could pack a punch for sure. And they form a line already. But the NAM 3K has what we call a linear nature bias, pretty much meaning that it makes every storm or every storm system a line as opposed to discrete cells. But I think in this system it'll do well because that's the expected mode. But regardless of that, it forms a line pretty quickly. And then you can kind of see another cluster fire south of the Red River. Nothing crazy we get into tomorrow morning. And there's just some sort of line of storms. And you can see as we make our way through the day and into the evening, we get this intense looking cluster of storms. I will note also that there's kind of some prefrontal activity. This environment will not be that supportive. In fact, I'm going to show it to you by taking a sounding. Never mind, I'm not. I was going to do that every time. Okay, never mind. I can show you it with a different model. But this environment out here is somewhat supportive of discrete cells, but not long lasting. It's a very high shear, a lot of wind energy aloft, and very low cape, low instability. Essentially, like in the summertime, you're kind of working with rocket fuel. You go outside and like, man, it's hot and it's humid. Thunderstorms must love it when it's like this, and they do. So it's not going to be like this. It'll be kind of marginal temperatures, and yeah. So we move on from there. That kind of congeals into a line. It doesn't look quite as organized as the HRRR, and we get into Sunday morning. This would be 7 a.m. Eastern Time, 6 a.m. Central, and we have some sort of line slash cluster of storms rolling through Mississippi about to enter Alabama, and it continues to do so as we make our way through the morning hours. Now, do we have enough? We do. So I'm going to, on the fly here, this just finished running, so I'm going to show you this over here. So for a lot of areas, I'm going to draw it. Uh, North of the severe threat, this is much appreciated rain and nothing else. There really is not any other side to this. Just kind of rolling through like northern Georgia, upstate South Carolina, the southern Alps. We just have, heavier downpours embedded in just a kind of broad stratiform rain shield is what this would be. So just kind of light to moderate rain on and off throughout most of Sunday for a lot of areas. But again, I know it's kind of hard to see, but these little cells down here in southern Alabama, southern Georgia, the Florida Panhandle could definitely pack a punch. We also are going to look at the FV3 high-res, just another high-resolution model here. I don't even have to move it. It starts off at 6 p.m. with some sort of storm or storm cluster in the Florida Panhandle here. And then some sort of line forms. I mean, where this is about 9 p.m. tonight. And there's some sort of line that forms, and then it kind of loses steam a little bit because the sun goes down, it gets cold, it gets cooler, and as we make our way into tomorrow morning, the sun comes back up, and you can see how it starts to re-intensify as we make our way through the afternoon with peak heating happening. So that again, there's some sort of line pretty much from the Red River point south. There, I mean, the severe risk on Saturday outlined by the SPC does kind of extend up here, so they could be, but on the far northern areas, there's less of a chance. You work your way south, your chance is higher. And that line kind of gets its act together as the sun's going down. So it'd be about 8 p.m. And we see this line kind of approaching the Arklatex, rolling through, and then it gets to the Mississippi River, kind of seems to lose steam, but there's some sort of line of storms rolling through areas of the deep south. So I'm going to go ahead and I know we have the frames for it. I'm going to go ahead and move this over. So yeah, we see this here, pick up where we left off, and you can see there's just some sort of linear storm mode and a line rolling through the deep south, but rain to the north, much appreciated rain. So we get out to Sunday evening, about 7 p.m. Sunday, and there's still a line ongoing in areas of the Florida Panhandle and southern Georgia. This would probably make it, a, a good chunk of time further and then decide to break up. So we also are going to look, the website I was just looking at does not offer this model, the RRFSA model, so I'm going to show it to you here. And we get out to this start time. This is where we started before. And there's some sort of cluster storms in the Florida Panhandle, Texas Panhandle, not Florida, Texas Panhandle. And you can see they intensify much quicker. These little black streaks that are kind of coming off of these are updraft velocity streaks. They just indicate the potential for rotation in these. Don't think that if you live in these counties that means that your storm is going to be rotating. You may not even see one. But just think about it. That's the model's interpretation. The RRFSA model, hopefully they probably are releasing an update for this. Hopefully when they do, they fix something called an over convection bias, meaning that it puts more precipitation, more storms on the map than there probably will be. So it does well, I think, sniffing out intensity of storms and where they could be, but I think it might put a little bit too many. But regardless, about 8 or 9 p.m. tonight, and you can see back down in far western areas of Texas as we make our way into tomorrow morning, something starts getting going, a line of storms forms, and then everything kind of breaks apart a little bit. We get these prefrontal things, we get a linear area, everything's a little bit jumbled up. We make our way into tomorrow about 6 p.m., about dinner time tomorrow, and Red River points south, kind of oriented from northeast to southwest. We have some sort of line of storms or kind of linear cluster mode here, it appears on this model. And this congeals into a line, and this is about midnight Central Time. So this is a pretty intense looking line of storms from Arkansas down through Louisiana into Texas along the Gulf Coast in Texas. So I mean, this is it looks intense, but again, over convection bias. You want to be careful about assuming it will look like this on radar, and it continues its way over. We have the frames kind of for this. Let me see if the latest. It did not. Okay, I'm gonna have to switch this back. I apologize. I'm gonna move this over to the southeast sector here. We're not gonna have enough frames to fully finish it out here. We get close. So this takes it through Sunday afternoon. So this line of storms makes its way pretty much to Alabama, central Alabama, and then it kind of breaks apart. But areas further to the south, the Florida Panhandle, southern areas of Alabama, Georgia, could definitely remain in that under that gun for the severe threat. But you see all of this kind of muted yellow and darker blue up here. That's just stratiform rain, and it can add up pretty quick. You can see there's kind of a shield of it developing here. It's pivoting to the north, and we don't have more frames than this, so we don't know what's going to happen. We'll really focus on this area starting tomorrow, so tune into that. So we're gonna look here using the RAP model, the rapid refresh model, at some severe ingredients. So really, again, just kind of focus on today and tomorrow's severe threat as it's in this sector makes the most sense. So this is starting off this evening at 6 p.m. and this is the mid-level jet, 500 millibars, about 3 or 4 miles. You probably heard me say that ad nauseum at this point on the channel, and the reason I keep saying it is because in the event that there is someone new watching, if I just start talking about it, it's not very helpful to that person. So that's why I say it. But you can see this belt of flow. This is wind 3 or 4 miles above your head, and you can see it kind of it's kind of pushing its way up in through Texas into Oklahoma. And so this will set the stage for severe potential in this area. You know, you can I don't it's maybe hard for you guys to see what states these are, but hopefully you can. I mean, Texas and New Mexico's here, Oklahoma's here. But in this risk area, we have a little belt of over 70 knots of flow. So that is going to get the job done when it comes to that part of it. Now we're gonna start off about here, and we're gonna look at a few different things. So we're gonna look at the low level jet. This is about 3/4 of a mile to a mile above your head. So this is a lot lower in the atmosphere. And this is the wind in that layer. When this wind is oriented out of the south like this, you can obviously see that the Gulf of Mexico is down here. It's literally pulling this Gulf air up to the north. That is providing for more moisture in the low levels. So, I mean, we can look here, our dew points. You can see these little red arrows kind of pointing where it's going, and you can see they're kind of sourcing from the Gulf and going up to the north. But you also look for the low level jet like this for your tornadoes and damaging wind threat. The higher this is, the more likely it is to translate down to the surface through adiabatic processes and end up causing breezy conditions or the storms that form to just kind of be very, very just high wind makers. But the orientation of this is important. Again, if it's out of the due south, what it can do is enhance the low level hodograph. So I'm going to do this one time probably because it's going to redirect us to another page. But this will load in a sounding that we can look at, kind of like I was trying to do with one of the other models. So this is the RAP model for about 8 or 9 p.m. tonight. And this is what it's modeling. So don't focus on this yet. Focus on the left part here. Where you see this green line, that is the dew point temperature from the surface all the way down here, all the way up 15 kilometers, many miles up. The red line is the temperature. So there's a dotted blue line. You can see it kind of follows different lines here. That's the parcel path line. So I will not pretend, looking at this, that this looks like a severe type of sounding. You want this blue line to be to the right of the temperature, meaning it's warmer, and you can know from your preschool science class that warmer air rises. And it is not. It pretty much parallels it. It's even necessarily cooler. So we have little to no instability. Do you see now? Okay, so pause. This here would tell me that these storms don't have a lot of fuel to work with. They have to be driven synoptically off of mid-level energy impulses, a whole lot of other things. Then I want you to focus over here. This is the hodograph. So you're standing where these lines are. 0, 0, this is this is not cardinal coordinates here. This is I forget what this is called, but obviously wind increases as you go out in every direction. So where it says this little red dot says RM, that's right mover. That is from a research project that's been around quite a while. Um, and that is the bunker's right storm motion. In the northern hemisphere, storms like to deviate to the right of the mean wind and the like 1 to 6 kilometer layer. I know I'm being a nerd, but what I want you to say, just take this red dot, that's your storm motion. So if you're standing here, you could draw a vector. Storms are moving kind of just east. I'm gonna make this a little smaller. Storms are going east, like this, kind of east, 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 northeast. So you can also see this is the wind. So it starts off at the surface, and as you make your way up, it's also color coded. So you see these green bars that would associate with this. You can see where in the atmosphere it's being modeled, and how this just kind of goes off into nowhere over here. That means that there's a lot of wind. The wind is increasing with height. It's called wind shear, and that is speed shear. But you see this thing right here. See how it kind of goes up and then back down like that? That is a low-level hodograph enlargement that you can experience firsthand. Where it peaks right here is where the low-level jet is in the atmosphere. It's very hard to explain this, but what I want you to get from this is that if these storms in this environment manage to form along the front and can get themselves going despite the lack of instability here, they will have a kinematic, a wind environment, a shear environment that is definitely supportive of not only damaging wind but even tornadoes. So I have to X out of this, unfortunately. And go back here. Anyway, all of that to say, we do have some ingredients here that line up, and we can look down here at the temperatures. They're marginal. You go back a few hours and they increase a little bit. So for storm initiation, we have we can go here. Storms could be initiating. We have even as much as 80 degrees in some areas, maybe. We also, I'm going to look at this dew point. This is much lower. Now, we make our way into the evening. It does start to increase a little bit, but you really want to see these blues. That 60-degree dew point, isodrosotherm is what it's called. You want to see that in all of this area. We don't. So that will be a limiting factor. If you look at this, this is even more responsible way to do it. It kind of assumes there'll be some dry air, and then kind of averages it all out from the mid levels, pulls some dry air down, and this and that. So it lowers it even more. I mean, a lot of dew points along this boundary, you can see these blue lines kind of come together here. Dew points could be even like 40 degrees. That is not going to get the job done. So we look also at the instability, the actual measurement of it. This is Kate, convective available potential energy. And we have some of it to work with, not a whole lot. It actually kind of builds in as the dew points increase overnight. So we have several hundred joules per kilogram. That's very, very little. It is enough maybe to get the job done. You can see how it kind of goes along this area where they have the outlook for today. So something to keep in mind. So moving past that, uh, that severe threat. There's also a snow side to this. I've neglected to really show it to you because it's gone down so much. But I mean, there's still a 1 inch mean showing up on the Euro ensemble from the latest run that we have in areas of West Virginia and Virginia here. Very little. I mean, that's kind of something you could laugh at. But there's something. You can look in here at the individual model runs, and the operational euro showed even less. That hasn't run enough. So yeah, it showed next to nothing. So yeah, that's all I wanted to show you there. Now we also look at the moisture. This is the National Blend of Models for the total amount of moisture. We can go ahead and look at the latest run here. It's still running, but we should have enough of it. So this is just the number of inches of precipitation that could fall between now and several days from now. And you see how areas of the Arklatex, literally along that area, are kind of a hotspot area, and then far far southern areas of Missouri, it does drop off a bit. The northern half of these Gulf Coast states are continually dropping off their moisture because I think the models are locking into the idea that this low will track through this area, keeping a lot of the rain to the south of it. So that say the low is right here, there'll be an area of moisture. It also kind of has that comma shape of moisture out ahead of it, which you can see at these slightly higher areas here. So I think it's picking up on that, but still over half an inch most everywhere in the deep south here. Obviously, there's hotspot areas where you can get as much as 3 inches. I think this might be a little conservative, but the reason that that kind of isn't backed up by what I just said, and I'll just switch runs here, is the fact that the operational euro kind of does even less in some areas, like in some of these Gulf Coast states. So you can see it here. It's pretty self-explanatory. You need to know where you live on a map, and if you don't, I highly suggest you figure out how to do that because that is very, very important. Because I can't tell you, I can't say everywhere. So it's important that you know. So we take a breath, we look a little bit further into the future here. I think we're going to have some sort of low pressure this coming Wednesday. Maybe even a little bit earlier than that. It really seems to start Wednesday, though, Thursday evening into Wednesday of next week. We have some sort of low pressure in the central, north central plains, and there's some snow mixed in. This is the European AI model. There's green to the south that would indicate rain. This likely isn't severe, just kind of a rain. There's a mixing area in between, corridor of something as a mix that moves on out. Then we have some sort of other low pressure kind of in the central areas of the country moving its way up into the northeast with some moisture. Any of this stuff to the south, it could be fair game for severe weather as well. And then we have another low pressure form, could be severe, hard to tell based off of just this, but there's a notice how the Northeast remains active when it comes to winter. If you guys in the Northeast think winter's over, it isn't. Uh, you may have not thought that though. It's easy for me down here in the deep south to think of that winter's over because I mean it might hit like 65 or 70 degrees today. So very weird dynamic there. But move this on. Notice I want to keep an eye on this. That uh, this is the 22nd, Sunday the 22nd. We have some sort of frozen precipitation falling in the far southern Appalachian Mountains and a big moisture bomb to the south. Could this be severe weather? Absolutely. We also have snow in areas of Kansas. So this is much further south than some of the stuff we were seeing. So we do have winter's not over yet. Um, it just might not be as active with winter as it is just rain, just moisture in general. But this is the last frame of the Euro AI. It has something frozen falling maybe as far south as Conway, Arkansas. So that's interesting for what it's worth. So we look at the AI GFS. This is Wednesday the 18th as well. There's that low pressure. I think that's a lot for areas of the northern plains to get some snow out of this. And then there's some sort of low pressure rolls up into the northeast. Here's another low pressure, kind of sprawled out. The surface low is way up there in Canada, and there's moisture all the way down here in the southern Appalachians. This is that same time frame. So even though there's nothing frozen falling here, the AI GFS does have moisture. So there's some consistency there. Pretty large storm system there. And then the Northeast, this is the last frame we have, and so the Northeast has some sort of mixed bag of precipitation type storm going on. We also look at the pattern here, just what we could be seeing. This is the mid levels, 500 millibars again, for geopotential height anomalies. So just think about the blue as troughing and colder air, and the red is ridging and warmer air. So starting off the 18th as well, you can see how as we work our way out through all of next week, this blue starts to kind of extend to the east. I think that could kind of knock some of these above average temperatures down in the central to northern US and really just confine them to the southeast. So that would provide this pattern would provide the chance for low pressures to kind of go like this up through that kind of middle area right there. And there could be a winter weather side, there could be a rain side. So that's kind of what we just saw based on our AI guidance supports this. And we move on a little bit more. And you can just see how this blue remains over areas of Canada and the northwest US. And we'll talk about this with temperatures in literally like just a second. But I see potential for a cool down in late February. So we'll talk about this, but this is just past 10 days, Tuesday of not this coming week, but the week after, still hanging on to a ridge in the east. And then we get out to the end frame here. So even though this is not blue in say this area, the black lines indicate it would be because it's kind of troughed out like this. They're not bending like that. So we have some sort of troughing signature, and this kind of it lets cooler air work its way down from Canada, which by the way, this entire time, this area up in Canada up here has been very cold. So it starts to kind of open the door for that flow to just work its way down into the lower 48. So next, what we're going to look at is the temperatures starting off the 18th. Just notice, I want you to keep your eyes up here in the northwest areas of the US and the far southwest areas of Canada and how cold they stay. This is a temperature anomaly. This is not measured temperatures, but yeah, that's just what this is. So we move this on. You can see it's well above average in a lot of the US, but we can also see how it kind of beats these well above average temperatures down to the southeast and almost introduces some neutral to even below average temperatures to the far northern US. So that's something to watch. Now this is like the 22nd. This is when the AI guidance was indicating there'd be moisture down here, but it's above average, so hard to tell if it'd be frozen or not. And but just again, you see that area up in Canada, just how it's just cold the entire time. We go out to the end. You can see the most of the southern tier of the country is warm. The northern tier is cooler. But this is also it's kind of spilling this cooler air down already over here. So if the trough will orient slightly differently, we get a shot of cold air down to the southern areas. And the reason I'm going to zoom out here, the reason that where is it at? The reason that I think some of this could happen is because it's what's happened this entire winter. You see all of this really, really cold air up here in Canada. It's happened multiple times this winter where we kind of build this for an extended period of time and then it breaks loose and drops south. I'm not saying that's what we're going to see, but it's happened a lot this winter. So we'll have to see if it does it again. And we look back here where we all started off. And wow, I actually paused that at the exact right time. So this is what the operational European from overnight showed for this system on the 18th. So there is frozen precipitation, snow. And then there's another low pressure and a little kind of localized snowstorm areas of the Midwest and far eastern high plains, if you will. Didn't make a whole lot of sense what I just said, but regardless, we can move this on. There's these like reds and greens down here could well be severe weather. We move this on. There's just kind of repeat areas of moisture down here in the deep south because, and I'm gonna draw on this. What we just saw from our patterns are it kind of goes like this. So kind of ridging out west, or ridging in the east, troughing out west, kind of going like this. So that supports the track of these storms to be kind of like this and pick up southerly air and pull down Arctic air. And then obviously somewhere in the middle you get some sort of battleground and different kinds of precipitation to fall. So Here's the 24th, the 23rd, 22nd. So, for example, this is the operational euro and what it shows for what that possible frozen precipitation could be. If you look at temperatures at this time, they're cool. It's not cold, but they're cooler, so something to watch. Not this would not be severe weather. It could be kind of like this event where it's just kind of a moderate rain and pretty cold temperatures. We move this on. There's more just energy is what I want you to think of it as. But the Northeast, you guys remain active. And look out west. I mean, we kind of roll this back. This just repeat areas of snow. I mean, obviously the higher elevations can get snow a lot of the times of the year, but I think there could be a chance for most areas of the western U.S. to see snow, the valley areas, all of that stuff. But we move this on again. And this is the last frame that we have. There's some sort of low pressure forming up here in the northern plains, and just the western U.S. remains active. So I do think that we could see it, and we'll have to watch for trends and changes throughout the models. So that being said, that's all I have for you. I should be back, if at all possible, this evening to update you on the severe potential. The reason for that is just because I love severe weather. You probably gathered that by now. So any chance I get to talk about it for you guys, I will do it. So thank you for watching. Tune in later, and I'll get a video out tomorrow as well, just to kind of do all this again. With that being said, I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.